When negotiating a price of a structure or a price of the damage, knowing construction and knowing understanding of construction material and everything that goes into building a home and what material is used is what gives you that edge always. And I think what a lot of PAs are missing is that knowledge of construction, right?
Okay, let's go.
I'm not here to play games today.
We can go into knowledge of policy and everything else. But when it comes to just negotiating the structure and the extent of damage and not being a professional, for example, whether you're not an engineer, you're not a mold expert, but going through a home with an insurance company and making them understand what the material is and the cause of the loss is this, and because this happened, this is also damage and this needs to be done. That all comes with having experience and either doing the work, like most of our staff, our PAs and estimators have worked in construction and have some kind of experience in it. Knowing when one thing is damaged and what extent it can be is what helps us really negotiate. So when you're discussing that with the insurance company and the insurance adjuster, you really have to have your ducks in a row. And if you need a book or you need to open up documents and stuff and regarding construction, and get yourself educated, because really the only way you're going to be able to discuss the claim and go into damage and what the extent of it is without bringing in 20 engineers and all these third party that's going to cost your client money. And again, those are there for the right situations, but a good and great PAs are able to present the claim on their own and get a claim paid in full for everything that's owed by just knowing material, knowing that if there's smoke, that this board needs to be removed and that there's possible smoke damage underneath. No adjuster is going to argue with you. If there's a gap here, you know that smoke traveled in there and you know that this has to be removed, that has to be cleaned and everything has to be sealed. So that's very important. I think if you can and you have time, get some education on construction. If you don't have a PA, have a construction expert with you at the property when the insurance adjuster's meeting. Most contractors should understand what the damage is and what needs to be done to put that property to pre-loss condition. So the tip here is know construction, know your materials, know how everything is done, so you have more knowledge than the other third party. There is other negotiation tactics, knowing and having certifications in mold and water restoration and knowing what kind of water loss it is, whether it's a category 1, or it's a category 2. There's different types of damage and the extent of damage caused by that loss that you have to know. And having those certificates, having that education, again, that's another tip in negotiation. It gives you more tools in your belt than the other party that you're going up against. Knowing who the adjuster is and who that other on the other side is. Because part of negotiation is understanding who's on the other side negotiating with you. Is that adjuster older? Is it an adjuster that maybe is much friendlier, maybe an adjuster that's more calm and more reserved? You have to feel that person on the other side, so you know the right way to negotiate and communicate to get home to that person, so you can start pulling what you want from that person. Knowing how to negotiate and how to feel that other person, so you can go in and get the most out of that person and have him open up. Because a lot of claims we've gotten paid and we get paid all the time is not because the extent of damage was this or any other matter. For simple the fact we were able to reach home with the adjuster and we were able to have him understand our view, and it made everything easier and it just creates less friction. Understand who's on the other side and who you're going up against. There's a lot. We could go into tricks and tips of negotiations all day. Knowing the policy, reading the policy, understanding the policy, and be able to understand and interpret the policy to the insurance company is one of the biggest items. So these are all the tips and everything. Having the education and having more education than the party that you're discussing with, so you can prove your point and prove the loss correctly, is ultimately the best negotiation trick.